Okay, hi everyone.
Right.
Today I'm talking to Tatiana. You go by Tanya, right? That's what I
I
remember.
do.
Yeah,
It's the same name,
yeah,
really.
yeah. Welcome. And so it's good to see you. I remember meeting you at Alison Gray's workshop as well. It seems like I met so many people that year. I wish I was able to go again every single year, but I'm glad you're able to be here in, crazy times. So welcome and thank you for joining me. Um, can you tell me a little bit about your background, how you came to art? Why did you choose art as your path? And, what happened so that you became an artist?
Right. Okay. Thank you. Well, I drew and painted a little bit ever since I was a child. So I guess I was an artist from the start. And then you kind of have to choose what you're gonna do in life. So I had a passion for nature and animals, and I had a passion for art. And I actually went to art school for kids from when I was 9 to when I was 12. But when it came time to choose what it is I was gonna do, I decided to be a scientist. So I became a biologist, and I have a PhD in entomology.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I really didn't do that much art while I was studying, and it kind of went away, and I was kind of sad. But I did some scientific illustration while I was in graduate school for others and for myself. And then in 2008, I went to Peru, and that was my first time working with entheogenic plants in a ceremonial setting, and that really changed my life. And I came back, and I felt like, I want to do something with color. I usually just worked with pencil and pen and sometimes watercolor, but it just really, my experience needed an expression. And so I started doing some color pencil drawings on black paper, and that was not enough. And then I decided I would try acrylics, and it was kind of it was messy, and acrylics are just so strange and felt so plasticky and dried really quickly. But I really wanted to, so that's how I started painting.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the long and the short of it.
Yeah. Did you grow up in the States? No.
No, I grew up in Moscow,
Yeah.
and I came to the States in 1995 when I was 25.
Okay, yeah. So the beginnings of the whole thing were in Moscow.
Yes, and as a kid, I was just like, all summers were spent in the woods with the sketchbook in hand and crawling on hands and knees and just drawing all the little creatures and mushrooms and plants and tadpoles and butterflies. And that was, I think that this was kind of my spiritual initiation. Of course, I didn't think of it in those terms back then. It was just something that I loved to do. But I remember the feeling when you're just so careful that this butterfly is not flying away and that lizard is going to sit there and pose for you, and those lines that I transferred onto the paper. There was something just really precious about that whole experience.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting how life distracts us from that which we are most passionate about?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of seen this theme over and over with many people, especially artists. I don't know what that's about. Nice. Can you describe your process?
I can try. Yeah, I can try.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh-huh.
that's the thing about it is it's really difficult to actually describe it, but
Oh,
anything,
yes, we're trying to talk about things that are nonverbal.
exactly,
Trying to talk about art is a tricky thing because you can
true.
kind of point to it, right? So I think it starts as a feeling, and um, I remember the first visionary painting retreat or intensive with Alex and Alison Gray that I went to. Alex was talking about the feeling in your piece you're working on, and he said that it was the most important thing. And if you're working on your painting and then you notice that feeling is gone, then just like sit back and make sure it comes back, because that is the essence of it. So I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable with that he put a simple word feeling to that intangible something. So it starts with just that intangible something. I can call it the vision, but it's not necessarily very visual.
Yeah, yeah.
Like an inner vision. It's a mixture. It's like a synesthetic feeling of, it's a feeling, it's an emotion, it's some colors, some images, but it's not really formed. And that's when it's like a call to start just bringing it to the canvas. So I rarely, sometimes I do, but I rarely do drawings for my paintings.
Mhm.
Some of them I do, and some of them are just like more worked out, but there are some that I just like have to get into it.
Yeah.
And there's, there are pluses and minuses, and pros and cons for that, because it's like spontaneous and it lets that juice flow. But sometimes the composition suffers, and you look at it later and you're like, I it could
Mm.
have been better, right? And I can, when I look at my paintings, it's like, yeah, I can see that it was like spontaneous.
Yeah.
um so, and that's like the beginning, and then I just trust that flow that comes through. And I love that it's like altered state that I get into when I'm with a painting for a long time, and I just start feeling it. And mostly I don't know, like I am not so technically skilled. I'm mostly self-taught.
Yeah.
So when I start the painting, I'm like, how on earth am I gonna do this? I don't know. But there's the internet, and there are other artists,
Yeah.
and there's that feeling that will guide you. And it's never perfect, but I am, what keeps me going is when the painting is finished and other people see it, and I see that like spark in their eyes, and I'm like, yeah, that it transferred. I did it.
Yeah. Beautiful
So
description.
yeah,
It's interesting how you have to like trusting that it's gonna work out. I find that like once you trust that it will work out, then everything goes smoothly from there. But,
that I totally agree with you.
so, what inspires you?
That's a great question. um I think what inspires me is the same thing that inspired me from the get-go, from as long as I can remember myself. And that's the mystery. That's just the mystery of creation, the mystery of life. And um, I just love the earth, and I love nature, and I always did. But the more I work with entheogenic plants, the more I spend time in nature, the more I do this inner work of um, self-healing. Just the more love I feel for for this incredible planet, and for all the beings that we share it with,
Yeah.
and the beauty and the wisdom and all of this that is not verbal, right?
Yeah.
Well, it can, yeah, if it's verbal, then it can only be described in poetry. But art is one of the media.
Yeah.
Art, music, poetry, dance, just like the way that we express this with through our bodies, with our bodies.
Yeah.
So that's what inspires me, and that's, I mean, you can probably see that it lights me up.
That's right. Yeah. It's fascinating to me that a lot of artists that I've met or have, followed their work with entheogenic plants. I still yet have to actually take that leap.
It is a
So
leap.
far, I have not so much avoided it, but I always say that I'm already naturally like pretty like high. But
Yes. And I don't think that everyone needs to go that way,
yeah, yeah.
right? There are so many paths to love.
But as an artist, we artists, we like to try things like, just out of curiosity. Like I would change the, what do you call it? The media that I'm working with every once in a while, just for like a different feel of things. So who knows? Anyway, thanks for sharing that. So on the other side of it, what blocks your process?
Doubts, just doubting. Um, who do you think you are? What do you think you're doing? Just that kind of thing. And it's there's always logic to it. There's always like it's so logical. And for me, it's like, okay, I was studying to be a scientist, and then I quit science and I started training horses, and then I started working with plants, and then I started painting, and then I started studying energy healing. So it's like jack of all trades,
Yeah,
master of none, right? But this is just okay. This is my path. So yeah, that doubts definitely,
yeah,
and trying to related to that, like trying to figure out, well, how do I make time and what is the most important? But when I just flow with it, everything's okay.
yeah, yeah. It's just getting yourself to the easel.
True. Yeah. Sometimes it can be. I. I think that artists are really courageous people.
Yeah, definitely.
It takes a lot of courage to just put yourself in front of that easel,
Yeah.
and it's like the epic battle sometimes happens there.
I hear you on that one. Been there, done that. um, so, Tanya, what are your plans for your art?
Sheesh, I knew you would ask that question.
I like tough questions.
Yeah, and that I was thinking about it today, and it reminded me of one of the visionary intensives, and I was talking to Allison, and she asked me, "So, what are your plans for your art? What are you gonna do with your art?" And I'm there like, well, it's complicated, and emotions and my feelings and blah blah blah. And she's like, what are your plans with your for your art? I'm like, oh, blah blah blah, so deep. And she's like, so what are your plans for your art? I think I am pretty much in the same boat that I was back then. Um, I want to paint for sure, and I want to share my paintings. That I know. Um, but I'm not so much into showing and just like playing the game. It seems that that's part of delivering something that you carry is just doing it the way you're supposed to do it. Um, so I'm not, I, it's like, I feel that maybe the way I would like to do it is more like having my painting somewhere where people can come for the purpose of like inner work and healing, and these paintings creating a space just like they do for me here.
Yes.
So you can see that it's not a formed vision, but I think I can trust the flow. I just being in touch with people, with other artists, and seeing what's needed out there. Where am I needed? So there have been requests to teach a workshop. Veronica Rose organized the Visionary Goddess Retreat, and it has been canceled, unfortunately. I was going to teach a workshop there. So now we're looking at doing it online, like what we're doing now. So probably some of this, I would like to just facilitate the creative space so that people can feel that flow of creativity. I would like to be part of that more.
Nice.
So that's probably like, that's my current answer.
And those paintings are yours behind you on the wall?
Yes.
And people can find more of your stuff online. You do have a website, correct?
I have a website with Fine Art America, and it's Tatiana-Kiselyova .pixels.com.
Okay. And you don't have an Instagram, do you?
I have an account, but at one point it blocked me from putting anything on it.
Oh, weird.
Wow. I tried this way and that way, and essentially, no, I don't have Instagram now. I'm on Facebook.
Yeah. Okay.
And eventually I would like to make my own website, but right now I'm still trying to understand how to merge all the many things that I'm doing, and art is just one of them.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's interesting about Instagram. I never had Instagram until I met Alex and Allison, and because I remember they encouraged us to start an Instagram, and I never even thought about that. So all thanks to them. Do you have any tips for artists?
From
our own experience as an artist.
I think my main tip is just like do it. Just do it. I know it's very simplistic, but for me it's the same thing. I mean, the main thing, because everything else comes. So from my own experience, I didn't think I had the skills to start painting in acrylics and to start the big painting, which is one of the first things I did, but I was determined enough.
Yeah.
And then I heard that Alex Gray is offering a visionary painting intensive, and I'm like, I really want to go, but I'm not the real artist, and I don't know. And I'm like, just do it. So I did it, and there were, besides Alex and Allison, there were amazing, talented artists who were very generous and were sharing. Like, if you come and say, hey, I love what you're doing here, can you show me? And they would be so happy to share. So that's how I learned some of the techniques. So that's kind of my main tip.
Yeah, I mean, that's legit.
just like, trust it. It seems that there are many people who say, like, yeah, I used to paint when I was younger, but I'm not sure. I don't know how. I'm not sure if I have any talent. And it's like, does it really matter?
Mm-hmm.
Just if something is flowing through you, I if you never try, you will never know,
Yeah.
right? And it's not a matter of like being good or being bad, being better than that. There's a whole spectrum there, but there's something that wants to express itself,
Yeah.
and that's what's important. And to me, I feel that art is, as much as it is a way of expressing, it's also a way of perception. There are a lot of things that I just wouldn't perceive if I didn't do art.
True. Yeah. Nice. I like that. Yeah. Very beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
um, would you want to come back as an artist?
I, I have a choice.
I love that.
I think I've already chosen that.
I know.
Yes, I totally, and a lot of other things. I would
Yeah.
like to be more of a dancer and more of a musician and more like use my body. But artist, definitely, yes.
I know. We're all artists, is how I feel. The only difference between like prolific professional artist and someone who's not is how seriously they take their profession
Yes,
and how hard they work on it and develop
true,
the
true.
skills that they need. Really nice. And if you had a superpower, what would that be?
It's another trick question.
I like trick questions. What can
They're
I
great. Make you think, right?
say?
You know, I, it's like, what is a superpower? I think that I would like to just like work on what I already have. And when I was thinking about it, like, it's like, what is it for me? I think it's maybe like inner fortitude or determination that I know I have. Um, just like an ability to, in challenging circumstances, to just zero in and have some clarity. And I think I've always had it, but I didn't haven't always known I had it.
Mhm.
Um, and I would like to just, work on it and nurture it and feed it so that it's not just for myself, but I feel that like if I have it in myself, it's helpful, or like, yeah, helpful for others. It just creates just like a vibration, a field,
Mhm.
so that they can get in touch with their center. Yeah, something like that. I'm not really sure if I'm expressing it correctly.
It's interesting when you were describing, I could just like visualize you as a superhero, like, and I'm like already thinking, maybe I should make like this painting with like everybody that I've interviewed with their like superhero character. That'd be like a
I love it.
lifetime project.
I love it.
I
Yes,
know, right?
and
Like you just inspired me, basically.
awesome. No, I think we're all superheroes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because it takes so much courage to just like be yourself,
true,
right?
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. I'm all out of questions, but if you have anything else you want to add or talk about, you're welcome. I think we still have some time before the 40 minutes that's allowed by Zoom.
Yeah. I don't have anything special to talk about. I really I want to thank you for this opportunity. For me, this is my first time doing this kind of interview. and I was a little nervous. And um, well, I guess in relation to that, I do have something to say.
Yeah.
Just because of the current situation, it limits opportunities for gathering and sharing directly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I've been recognizing in the past few days, like what just the flow of my life has been taking me out there and doing something, like sharing my skills, sharing what I believe in. And then it seems like everything can close down. But I mean, internet gives us other opportunities, and your offer came in just the right time. It's like the timing is perfect.
Yeah.
So I can talk to you, and you're just, you know, you have this warmth, and
Aw,
you really invite me, and your questions are great, and I know you.
thank
I
you.
know you're a friend. I know you're an artist. I know we're on the same page.
Yes.
And I admire you for being out there and, you know, doing what you're doing.
Thank
So,
you.
and you're giving me an opportunity to do the same. So I thank you for that.
Thank you, Tanya. I appreciate that. You know, I at some point I realized, because I did some interviews before for my research, and I realized that artists tend to hide themselves a
True.
lot, and I come across it all the time, and I know from myself, you know, we just hide, and it's not serving the world that we do that. And I just wanted some way to just bring all those voices out. You, most of us who are into like painting or sculpture or like the fine arts, we're what is the word? We're not performers. So it's like hard for us to be like, yeah, you know, like here I'm the star of this show. And it just doesn't work that way for us. So I figured, you know,
True.
like having real conversations where I don't even edit the video, or, you know, like just be real, bring that to the forefront, show the people who are behind these paintings, because we're always seeing the paintings, but we're not seeing the people.
True.
So that was the vision behind starting this. And I appreciate that you're, you know,
Mm.
seeing the essence of it. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, I'm gonna close the video now, and I'll be in touch shortly.
All right.
All right. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.